Neil Druckmann does not learn. So Neil just hired a new writer to help him with the story of his new game, Intergalactic in Naughty Dog. But after taking a look at her profile and CV, I don't know if this is a good idea or decision to have hired her. And here's why. So in 2014, after having a sort of fanfiction of two underage girls lost in the Last of Us world, kind of flirting with each other, showing a very obvious relationship, people said, well, who cares? There's nothing wrong with this. And I would kind of agree. I think Left Behind DLC is pretty good. It isn't as good as the principal game, the main game, but there's some good development for Ellie's character, and it is totally optional for you to play it or not. But then, in 2016, after having a black woman kicking Nathan Drake's butt out of a window, literally, everyone said, well, who cares? There's nothing wrong with this. It was only like, I don't know, 2 seconds of a 16 hours game. Who cares about this? And I would agree. It is a very small portion of the game and doesn't make a difference at all, I think. But then came 2020. And given the zeitgeist of the era, Neil decided to take a step further and do as his own desires ever told him to do. He would smash the patriarchy out of Joe with a golf club faster than Tiger Woods with a bottle of alcohol in a car accident. He would make him pay for all of those crimes committed by masculinity in video games. And then he would devote his masterpiece for his goddess, his model, his inspiration, Anita Sarkeesian, who's helped the game industry advance to a better place, in his own words. A woman who probably never played a video game in her life, and who probably, just like me, just wanted to get some money after studying humanities in the university and not getting a job. So yeah, stay away from psychology, please. And to help him with this task of destroying the symbol of a man who cares for his family, he would hire another progressive woman that would hate on men and help him with his dream of making Ellie a dad, apparently. Ellie's gay, by the way. You know, there's a concept in psychoanalysis that is the penis envy, which is when women tend to look at men and say, well, if they can do that, why can't I do the same? And then you have things like people who will say shit about masculinity qualities like being an asshole, being ignorant, being aggressive, being promiscuous, and anything that they consider as toxic, but then attribute each of those traits, copy and paste in female characters like Captain Marvel, Mulan, Rey from Star Wars, and of course Ellie and Abby from The Last of Us. Any sort of Mary Sue, as people used to say. Can you see the irony in this? I wonder if this is a fetish, like those men who do not want to take the masculinity role and then they put that into women. I think animes tend to do this a lot. Sorry if you're a fan of those, but or like those pick-me boys who tend to feel like they are inferior so they can get attention from other women. Who knows? Here in Brazil we have a word for this, which is esquerdomacho, which are men who tend to fake or at least be more prone to the leftist ideologies and leftist ideas so they can sometimes try to get a shot with leftist women as well. Does that work? Most of the cases it doesn't, but it is still something that many men tend to do. And you know, it is this concept of the sneaky fuckers. I absolutely love this term. So yeah, I wonder if this is the motivation behind this. I cannot understand why you would be a man who likes to destroy this idea of masculinity and then praise other women for being superior as you. That would also explain why Neil is constantly hiring blonde women to work with him and praising women publicly like Anita Sarkeesian. Are you trying to be a sneaky fucker, Neil? Are you a squerdomacho, Neil? That's suspicious. That's suspicious, Neil. That's suspicious. And then imagine that you are starting to receive one of the worst receptions for any game ever made due to the poor decisions you have made of killing the main character, killing this masculine ideal, and making Mary Sue's out of your women characters or your female characters. So if you are Neil Druckmann, what should you do? Option 1, to look at those comments, look at those critics and say, well, perhaps they are right. Perhaps I've made something wrong in here, and perhaps the decisions I've made weren't the best decisions to do, right? Or option 2, you decide to ignore all of that once you receive a Game of the Year award and think to yourself, could this be because of the quality of the graphics and gameplay that my whole team on Naughty Dog made for 4 whole years? Or could this be because I, myself, am a genius writer who's being praised in a video game award because I am a genius writer? Well, yeah, definitely the last one for The Last of Us. And then he became the producer of The Last of Us show on HBO. And without surprise, people loved the show, most of them at least. And people who had never played or wouldn't play the game now had the chance to take on the experience of being Joel and Ellie for some hours, like us. But here is the problem. As I said in my last video, Neil didn't make the first game by himself with a box of scraps. Even though he probably thinks like this now. Like, have you seen the part 1 remake in which he put an additional name of him in the credits? Like, what the fuck, man? But anyway, because when it was time to release the second season of the show, then the water hit everyone's butt, with the obvious decline on the quality of writing and decisions made in the show, which is an almost exact adaptation of the script Neil Druckmann, who is also a producer, made for the game on the TV show. Which is also the only reason why people hate the second game so much. The writing is shit. And with the decline of more than half of people who were watching, a strong hate on an actress that was obviously wrong casted for the character, the complete lack of a serious antagonist once that Abby in the TV show isn't intimidated at all, and mostly the complete lack of a charisma of a masculine figure as well that was holding this show, which in this case was Joe or Pedro Pascal. Then, what does Neil Druckmann think? Could it be that the strong ideological message I'm trying to convey is the problem of this game and this TV show? Well, if it is, what about we hire a new person so she can give the same ideologies as I do, but in a different way?
After the first day, she was telling me that she went home and told her husband that, I think I just got Ellie's girlfriend pregnant.
I'm right here. I'm tweeting.
And then he hired Cheryl M. Ingalls, a writer known for her very good works for Batman: The Enemy Within, a game which puts a strong female Harley Quinn as a fandom, and Joker, one of the greatest villains and also the greatest villains in the villain DC Comics, as her puppy. Like, okay. She also made Tales from the Borderlands, a game that also puts a strong female lesbian character, which is, well, it's actually an okay game. I kind of enjoyed it, but you see, the message is there still. Silent Hill Ascension, a game that has 0.7 score on Metacritic, and of course, God of War Ragnarok, which certainly deserves its own video. Oh yeah. And she's also known for hating Omega movement and making an alliance to combat the technological oligarchies by using Blue Sky. Come on, Naughty Dog, you have more money than that. Why are you hiring people who just finished college graduation? Why don't you hire me instead? I really need a job. But of course, this isn't Naughty Dog nor PlayStation per se. This is, as Freud would say, His Majesty, the ego. In this case, Neil Druckmann's ego, of course. This guy just doesn't learn. He just keeps doubling down on bad decisions or are, in my view, only based, again, in narcissism. And sincerely, I don't think this will change at all. He's been receiving praise for The Last of Us since 2013. He won awards, prizes. He got to the best position in Naughty Dog. He was called in to make a TV show. No one in his personal field is saying that, well, Neil, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe if you keep pushing this agenda in, maybe we will lose a lot of money. But apparently, it's not about the money. It's about sending a message.
Everything burns.
But even if it isn't about a message, it is definitely about the message. But at the end of the day, I don't say this as a hater. I love The Last of Us, and I really enjoyed The Last of Us Part 2 as well. Even though the game is so flawed, especially story-wise, it's just like PewDiePie once said, I would rather play The Last of Us Part 2 than any generic Ubisoft-esque broken game. I say this because given the massive layoffs that are happening in the gaming and the technological industry, the complete collapse of investments made by PlayStation during the Jim Ryan era, the closure of Concord and Firewalk Studios, the disastrous new game of Bungie, a studio that costed $4 billion to buy. It doesn't even have a single lead of returning that investment so soon. And of course, the progressive hate on recent, not only Naughty Dogs, but also in general games that have the message of wokeism. In Naughty Dog, precisely the script for The Last of Us Part 2, their unnecessary remasters and remakes, the cancellation of their new multiplayer game, although people are actually happy for that one happening, but still the overall look of their new game as well, with an actress that was raging on the public that would consume that game, the complete ignorance of the developers for feedback, and now the hiring of a new very dubious person to help with the script of this new game. Because all of these reasons, I fear for Naughty Dog and its employees. I don't think Neil Druckmann will be unemployed even if the studio is shut down. But what about the other people? What about the IPs or even the quality of the games made by Naughty Dog? You cannot deny your public. Just take a look at recent failures in the industry, such as Dragon Age The Veilguard, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Concord, and then look at the success of Baldur's Gate 3, Clarobscur 33, and of course, The Witcher 3. And what I'm trying to say with this video is very simple, is that you should be making The Last of Us Part 3 because that's the lucky number, Neil. Even if it is shitty, that's where the success is. And anyway, my name is Jeff and see you in the next video. Goodbye.